Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Ambassadors Program Vegetable Garden Startup. My name is Mavil Aghadjanian, and I am the Executive Director of the Montrose City Chamber of Commerce. This pandemic changed our worlds as we knew it, but one of its silver linings, if you can call it that, is that it made us all slow down. And in this slower pace of life, many of us picked up gardening. Whether you already started your own little vegetable garden or if you're still contemplating it, we thought putting this virtual event together would prove to be a fruitfully fun experience. I want to start by thanking our two event sponsors for their contribution and support of the Chamber. Because of them, we are able to continue on with our efforts during this unprecedented time, and their sponsorship allows us to offer this event for free to our community. I'll start with the Panos Productions Photography. They offer a variety of photographic services. Some of their business services include state-of-the-art product photography to help increase sales. You don't want to let poor or sloppy images diminish your brand. They also offer social media content image packages customized for your online content needs. You meet for 90 minutes once a month, and you get 20 high-quality images for your social media posts. They also offer personal branding headshots. You can get that new profile pic to show the world who they're working with. You can check out some of their corporate headshots on our chamber website. They were lovely enough to do some of our board's corporate headshots just a few months ago. So you can visit it at montrosechamber.org and check out some of the work there. They also offer personal portrait services, which are showpiece portraits of individuals and families you will cherish for years to come. From maternity to babies and in kids to adults, she has the portrait experience for you. She's currently offering 10% off when you book by February 28th, the end of this month. And you can reach them by emailing katie@panosproductions.net. Our other event sponsor is s.i.g Property Management. They are a full-service property management company right here in the Glendale-La Crescenta area, and they ensure you maximize the returnable income from your investment property while managing your liability with a full suite of services. Their team of specialists help you navigate the complex landscape of property. You know, managing an investment property may seem simple at first, but you will quickly start to see the types of skills that are needed to make this acquisition an opportunity. You need an accounting department capable of reconciling bank accounts and providing the tenants with accurate and timely rent balances. s.i.g Property Management are responsive to maintenance requests, so your tenants are satisfied and you don't get a call in the middle of the night from someone with the leaky faucet. You can get more information by emailing them at info@sigpm.com. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce our donors. Gio's Bakery and Cafe is a local hub where Europe meets Montrose. From their paninis, soups, and salads to their all-day breakfast sandwiches, breads, pastries, desserts, and their cosmopolitan coffee bar menu that includes any worldwide caffeinated or not beverage, catered to your own taste or favorite temperature by their well-trained baristas. We say ooh la la to Gio's European pastries and to their generous donation of 2 gift cards of $25 each. Another one of our in-kind donors is Pedro's Organic Ranch. Pedro's Organic Ranch owns about 21 honeycombs, which are located at their family ranch located in Fallbrook, California, and can be purchased at the Montrose Farmers Market every single Sunday. We thank Pedro's Organic Ranch for their kind donation, a 1.5 pound jar of organic honey, grade A. This honey is organically harvested, and it is a product of cross-pollination from wildflowers and citrus trees. It will be added to today's prize drawing opportunity at the end of this presentation. We also have a prize donation from the Park family. They are donating 5 packets of milkweed seeds from their garden to yours, collected during the last fall season and dried over winter time. Seeds are ready to be planted and to attract monarch butterflies to your garden. Lastly, a big thank you to Ace Hardware of La Crescenta for their donation of our vegetable garden startup kit. Grand prize that one of you will win today. And without further ado, I introduce to you our host and director of the MVCC Ambassadors Program, Analily Park. Analily is an active member of various community-based organizations and in constant communication with businesses, schools, sports, churches, libraries, and social service agencies. If you are interested in dedicating yourself to our Montrose community and assisting us with events like these, we invite you to join our Ambassadors program. If you would like more information, you can reach out to us and we will get you in contact with Analily. I will now pass the floor on to you, Analily. Welcome. And thank you for hosting this fabulous event.
And our in-kind donors. And also I would like to thank Hahamonga Native Plant Nursery and Arroyo Seca Foundation. And through them, I was able to connect with this amazing person who is our speaker today. She is a gardener. She is a food and herbal alchemist and a garden-based learning educator based in Los Angeles. Her name is Jade Luu, and Jade holds a bachelor's degree in journalism, public relations from San Jose State University, and has an education master's in international education. And she is a certified permaculture designer and RIT Yoga Alliance instructor and practitioner with over 25 years experience from kindergarten to 12th grade to higher education, teaching curriculum design and programming in the US, Japan, and China. Also, Jade has been lived a garden center life for over 20 years, and now she's teaching natural, organic, and regenerative gardening. Cold, hot, vermicomposting, and seed-to-table cooking. So she is currently in training with the Theodore Payne California Native Plants Foundation, and she's looking for her certification. And she is a member of the Los Angeles Green Building Council. So with us today is an amazing garden master, Jade Luu. I think we need to.
I just unmuted myself. Hi,
Thank you, Mavil.
Thank you, Analily and Mavil, for that wonderful introduction to our webinar today. As mentioned, my name is Jade Luu, and I'm with Ellume Gardens, and we are a Los Angeles-based permaculture design and consulting company. I myself, as Analily mentioned, am a certified permaculture designer and consultant gardening coach. And what that means is I specialize in restoring health and wellness and bringing back ecology and reconnecting the mind, body, and nature connection for urban landscapes and urban communities everywhere. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got some fabulous prizes. I was listening to the prizes. I was like, wow, I want to. Sounds like you're going to get, the lucky winner's going to get everything you need to get started with everything that I'm going to cover today. And what that is, you know, as you know, there's so much to know and learn in gardening. And even as a, sorry, I'm getting, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, much better.
Okay. Sorry, I had a technical difficulty there. But even as a permaculture or as a gardening sustainability educator for 25 years and a gardening teacher for 20 years, I certainly spent a lot of those beginning years just killing a lot of plants, honestly. There was so much to learn and know. So it's going to be hard to like compact everything, fit everything into a 30-minute class, but I'm going to do the best I can. And that is to cover the most important things today about vegetable gardening, or any kind of gardening actually, whether it's native plants gardening, vegetable gardening, or herbal gardening, or ornamental plants gardening. And that boils down to these three things right here: sun, soil, and water. So let's start with that. Well, we're going to first cover those three things, and then I'm going to demonstrate, or I'm going to tell you what the best plants are, the easiest plants that are the plants that are the easiest to get started with in vegetable gardening. And then I'm going to demonstrate how to do that, how to plant them real quickly. So again, let's talk about sun first. And the first we know about gardening, vegetable gardening, is where is the sun? So wherever you are, consider first looking at your space, whether it's, you know, a backyard space or a front yard space. We are actually standing in my front yard garden. My garden is a very much a front yard garden. I don't know if you can see. That is my house back there behind me. And then that is the street. That's the street. And as you can see, sometimes there are noises from that you'll hear in the background. So bear with me if we have any of that. It you know, passes by quickly. But anyway, so whether it's your space is going to be in the front yard or backyard or side yard, or if you don't have a yard and you just have like a little balcony or a little courtyard, that's fine too. Wherever you're going to be placing those plants, please consider the placement of the sun. So what we want is we want to follow the sun. So most vegetables that you plant, most vegetables need full sun. And you could probably see that on the back, the tag that you get. Normally you'll get a tag like this when you buy a plant. And on the back, it'll say, this plant requires full sun. And full sun means at least 8 to 12 hours of sun. So the plant will need at least 8 to 12 plus hours of sunlight every day. So be sure to that the space wherever you're gardening, it's going to get that much sun. Now, some plants, for example, herbs, which is why I love to start with herbs, is because herbs don't require that much sun. They are actually can actually be day or sun. That means you need about 6 to 8 hours of sunlight every day. And then some plants like lettuces maybe, or calendula, some herbs can actually tolerate shade. So the tags will say shade tolerant, which means that those plants will be fine in the shade. So don't worry if you don't have a lot of sun in your space. Wherever your space is, you'll be sure to that you'll be able to find a plant that you can grow, a vegetable, or a vegetable plant that you can grow in that space. So that's the most important thing about sun. So along with that, then that will dictate then where you're going to be planting. So when you follow the sun, the sun will decide where you're going to plant. Now, the only decision that you have to make is to decide whether you're going to be planting in the ground or in a container. So if you don't have ground, like land in which to grow in-ground beds, in-ground gardening beds, with some containers. So here in my garden, I have both. Let me see if you can see, I have a bed here. I have a few beds. And then I have some containers also around the garden. So it's kind of a mix of both in-ground and containers. So I wanted to show you containers that you could easily start out with. You don't have to grow in ground. I actually, as a permaculturist, I like to grow in ground because when you grow in ground, you are actually healing the soil underneath, and then the quality of carbon sequestration, meaning that it's the ability to draw down carbon from the air and clean the air through the plants is actually quite a lot. So that's why I like to grow in ground. But if you don't have that space, it's perfectly fine. And you can start out with something like this. This is a very inexpensive way to get started. It's just a pot, a galvanized bucket that you can find actually at Ace Hardware probably. For only $14.99 or like $14 to $15. And then you just fill that up with soil and you can plant right in there. And I'll demonstrate how to do that later. You can also use, if you don't have a big patio, you can also use a smaller container like this. Now in this container, as you can see, I've put basil, rosemary, and thyme. So you have a little herb garden right there, a mini herbal garden that right there you can use for your daily cooking. Now, as you snip away, I'll show you. As you use them and you cut a little bit each, it will sprout back almost instantaneously. It'll take like a couple days maybe, but think of all of the money that you'll save in having to go to the store every day or every time you cook and buying a packet of thyme or rosemary or basil. And so right there, it's not a lot, it's only 3 plants, but you'll save money, and the nutritional benefits of these herbs are amazing, actually quite medicinal. So then you can, if you do have space, you can also do a little bit bigger containers like these containers I have here. You can make you can stack 3 of them up together, and then you can put different plants in them. And then you can plant in there. And now I'll show you exactly how to do that. And then at this point, I'll show you what the easiest plants that you can start out with. Peppers, well, actually, the easiest is herbs, which I've already covered. And then the second easiest is lettuces. This is just butter crunch lettuce, and this is arugula. So if you like salads, they're great plants to start with. And again, as you snip and use for your salads, they'll grow back within a few days. And then you'll always have, great lettuce, like a little lettuce garden with you.
Jade, and I find that arugula and lettuces propagate so easily.
Yes, exactly, right? A lot of these plants are really easy to propagate. Propagation is what's going to continue your garden, ensure that you have a succession of gardens. And that's a whole other topic too, but yes, you're right. Mint is also another great herb that you can that grows like wild. I mean, it just grows. It's very prolific, very wild and very prolific. And then along with the lettuces, you can also plant spinach. Spinach is also very easy from seeds, as well as to just grow from starters. And you can put that with your lettuces. And then once you're there, you can graduate into gradually increasingly difficult, although they're still pretty easy to start with, plants like peppers. These are Thai hot peppers. They're pretty easy to grow. And then the second easiest to grow is beans. Everybody starts out with beans, and they're so nutritious and packed full of protein, and fairly very easy to start with. And then the other pretty easy. Then next, you want to go to like some, if you want some flowers in your garden beds, calendula is also very easy. These are actually edible flowers. I grow them to make tea with. It's also great for skin, for your skin when you drink it. And you can also make so many things, like you can make a tincture with it, or you can make a calendula oil with which to moisturize your face. So yeah, and then along with decorative flowers, if you like flowers that are edible, actually, you can also grow violets like this. These are some purple ones and orange.
Oh, yes. And they look so beautiful when you make ice cubes.
Yes.
When you add them, yes.
Drop them in ice cubes. Yes, I've seen that. I haven't done that myself, but I just saw that the other day and I thought,
Yes.
this summer I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to show you how you would go about doing that. Let's talk about soil. Okay, so we've covered sun. Now we're going to talk about soil. The single most important thing you want to know about soil is that you always need rich black gold soil. I call it black gold because it is just so rich. It is dark. I'm going to show you here. I just happen to have a mix that I've mixed up before the webinar. I usually mix my soil in a bucket first like this. I start out with a bag of compost, like a good organic mix of organic compost. Like you can get them at Ace or Home Depot, and it will say organic compost for vegetable gardening. There are several brands that I recommend, but the most important thing is that it's organic, and that it's for that it says it's compost. So here, as you can see, black gold is rich and dark and full of organic matter, so that, and it's not dried out. There's a lot of organic matter that has already been composted, meaning it broke down already, and those are going to provide the nutrients for your vegetables. So in this bucket of compost, you're going to bring a bag of compost home, put it in the bucket, and then all I do, I know a lot of gardeners put a lot of things like, oh, I don't know, pumice and, cocoa coir and a lot of things. But for me, for a small bedding like this, or just for simple gardening, vegetables like soft soil. Vegetables like moist soil. Okay, so that's the other thing to keep in mind. Make sure that it's moist, not drenched. Moist, not dry. Okay. So along with a bucket of compost, all I do is I put in a handful of worm castings. And these are the worm castings that I harvested from my worm composting bin. In other words, vermicompost, which means worm composting. And castings are made when the worms actually eat vegetable waste from your kitchen, and then they will secrete these castings that are highly nutritive, and you add it to the soil and you mix it in. You put in a lot more than just that, but I just wanted to show you how much you add compost to this. And usually to a bucket like this, I'll put in like a couple of handfuls and I'll mix it all up. And then right in here, this is how you would plant. Actually, yeah, So I was going to show you over there how I plant, but this is probably better. So after you mix in the worm castings, you'll have this bucket of really nice and moist and rich soil. So there's no there's no right or wrong way to put in your plants or plant the plants, but a rule of thumb that I always go by for me is to plant the tallest plants in the center. Like, for example, I know that probably this pepper plant is going to get to be pretty tall, and you can tell how tall it's going to be by, you know, the tag. It'll probably tell you, like, so then I will just take out the plant like this, and then I will just kind of loosen up the bottom a little bit and put it in the center like that. Now this is gonna grow taller than the other plants that I put in, probably, because I've decided that in this pot I'm gonna mostly just do like a little bit of herbs and a little bit of vegetables, other vegetables, like maybe my arugula. So I'm gonna put arugula in there. Here. I'm gonna probably make a little bit of an indentation more so that they'll sit better.
And Jade, is there a rule of what vegetables to plant together and which
Yes.
ones to avoid?
Yeah, well, you'll quickly find that some plants like to be near each other. Some plants help each other, and that's what we call companion planting.
Yes.
There's also a concept of a plant guild. Like a guild is like a family of plants that help each other. So that's why you want to look those up, and it's widely available on Google, through Google. But yeah, some plants, these plants will do okay together. They're not going to be, you know, they're not going to be competing with each other for nutrients. Yeah. So I'm going to put arugula, and maybe I'll put like a sage in there. I'll put probably a sage in there. And then in the back. And then probably I'll put in these violets. And I will put in, sometimes I like to mix in flowers with a vegetable garden because I like that the flowers look nice, and they also will help to discourage pests like aphids, or, you know, like marigolds do that. And then calendula also does that. Violets do that also. Yeah, so as you can see, and then maybe I'll put in some rosemary here. To finish it out.
I can smell it from here.
You can actually fit quite a lot in just one pot.
Yes.
And then I will like fill up the rest of it with soil. And that's it, pretty much. And then you have a little garden in just this small space.
Amazing.
And all you have to do is watch it. Now you'll water it, and to make sure about that they get enough water. And the rule of thumb about water is to always keep it moist, not drenched, and not dried out. So and that will, you'll have to watch the plants. A rule about permaculture gardening is always to observe, water, and, you know, give it nutrients and sun, and but you always have to watch the plants to see how it's doing. And as long as the soil is moist but not drenched, you're going to be fine, and the plants will be healthy like this. So that's pretty much the most important things about vegetable gardening. Now, of course, there's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of tricks and a lot of other things to consider. And as Analily said, like when you want to propagate, which means to grow or multiply those plants, that's a whole nother set of skills and knowledge that you would want to embark on after you've been gardening for a while. And it does take time, but just with practice, gardening is very much about practicing.
Sure. One of the questions, Jade, says, what type of spacing do you need between the plants? They thought they needed to be 6 to 12 inches apart. Is there a rule of thumb? Can you mix it up, or how do you go about that?
Yes, absolutely. So the plants that I put can all kind of pretty much stay compact. Like the lettuces and the arugula and the sage can stay pretty compact. The peppers might need a little bit more room, but
I think we lost you for a little bit, Jade. Can everybody hear Jade?
Hello? Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear her.
All right. Okay, so what I was saying is there are always exceptions to the rule. So as long as you keep them, if you decide this is all the space that you have, you're going to keep snipping and pruning to keep the energy where it is and in the beautiful foliage. You're not going to let it get too big.
Sure, and the oxygen flow.
Snipping it so that you can, right, and the oxygen flows too also. Now, plants like peppers, for example, need more room as they grow. So you also, you know, if you don't want to put that many plants in there, you can just leave a little bit more room. Now, plants that are the same, like for example, whole beans, for example, whole beans beans don't need too many spacing between each other. But some plants like eggplants or like tomato plants will get much bigger and they're going, and leggy. So you will need more room between those. So even though the tags do say like plant 12 to 14 inches apart or 6 to 8 inches apart, sometimes you can, I don't want to say manipulate, but you know, you can just kind of observe to see what the plant will do, and give it a little bit of spacing. But you know, if you don't let it grow too big to its full maturity, then you can keep them a little bit smaller.
Jade,
yeah,
what happens with drainage? How do you drain the water, especially if we are using a container like the one that you were showing us, the aluminum?
Yes. Right. Thank you for reminding me that, because I've already drilled a hole on the bottom of that hole, and I couldn't show you, but yes.
You're ahead of the game.
You do, and those containers, the white containers, also have holes at the bottom. So you do want to do that, and you do want to allow for proper drainage. That's the only thing that you really have to know. And thank you for reminding me, because sometimes I just forget, because it's such a given.
Here.
Yeah, because if it's such a given, it's just such a natural thing to do that.
So you have
I
to
always
drill.
Forget that.
You have to drill the hole on the galvanized.
Yes.
Containers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you want this one, I haven't drilled a hole. You want to drill a hole here, and probably another one here, another one here, another one here, another one here. If they're small holes, you know, you want to have even drainage.
Even.
So maybe a bigger hole here, or like several holes throughout. But you also, Yeah, it's for even drainage. Yeah. You also then inside, you're going to line it at the bottom with some weed barrier cloth so that you don't lose a lot of soil through the holes.
Mhm.
Especially if they're going to be a little bit bigger holes. You want to make sure there's like a weed barrier cloth underneath to line the container with. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me to talk about drainage, and that's also goes along with water. One other thing I wanted to mention about watering that's very important is the concept of runoff, especially when you are gardening in ground beds, and if you have drip irrigation, like the tubing that directs water directly to the soil, make sure that you run the irrigation for a good amount of time, so that and slowly, so that you have very slow irrigation that will ensure that the water soaks through at least the top 2 inches or more of the soil. And runoff just means, like, sometimes when you water the spot, it doesn't drain as fast as the water comes out, so it's going to run off everywhere. So you do want to make sure that you water slowly. If you're hand watering, maybe water slowly a little bit, go to a different plant, water over there, then come back to that one, and water a little bit more. Or with drip irrigation, you want a very nice and slow irrigation. Run it for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes several times a week to make sure that you get proper irrigation and the moisture level is kept up. Yeah.
And we have one of our guests is asking, what do you find is the best thing for most natural for pets, like hornworms? I get a ton of those.
Like what worms?
Hornworms.
You mean pests?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean dealing with pests?
Yes, pests.
Okay.
Yes, pets, sorry.
And so no worries.
Yes, it's a
the
pest.
question was how to deal with pests in a natural way. That's a great question. So inevitably you will get some pests. It's a natural and an inevitable thing that will happen. So that's why a certain amount of companion planting will help you with that if you have pets and you don't want to use any chemicals. And if you're interested in natural gardening, I use companion planting as a first step, first line of defense. And that means like planting, like for example, if you plant mint or onions near a vegetable like eggplants or something, it's going to deter, because a lot of pets don't like mint. Rats don't like mint. So if you put mint around right next to some plants, it'll keep the critters away from that plant. Some plants are also designed to take up to attract more aphids. So that will keep your main vegetable free from aphids. And then the other thing I like to do is there are a lot of things you can do. Like you can sprinkle cinnamon, or you can sprinkle what's the other one? Cinnamon, mint oil, neem oil. You can make a solution of neem oil with a tiny couple drops of soap dish, or dish soap, I mean, and then water, and just spray the foliage naturally. And we could talk forever about pest control, but there are also lots. I specialize in natural gardening, which means I don't use any chemicals in my gardening. So I would be happy to talk more about that. But it does take some practice.
Sure. Yeah. And about lighting, sun lighting, for direct sun instructions, does a window that gets direct sun for about 6 hours a day count?
Yeah, so that would be like I would say 6 hours a day is okay, but it's not it's not going to be strong enough for plants that require full sun,
Mhm.
which again means at least 8 to 12 hours of sunlight, if not more. So plants like beans or peppers need a lot of sun because they need all that energy to produce those vegetables. So yes, a window, I would say a south-facing window is best.
South facing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But definitely, again, you might not, there may be some vegetables you might not be able to grow because you don't have enough sun, but you're sure gonna be able to find something, some type of vegetable that you can grow. Yeah.
Wonderful. And this is amazing. So you call companion plants the plants that you use to deter some of the pests.
Well, no, that is just a way by which you can deter some some pests, I mean. But companion planting is by definition just the concept of grouping plants together that are helpful to each other. So basically, you're planting a nice and helpful community of plants. So you're planting plants that are good to each other, like, strawberries with tomatoes, or strawberries with eggplants, or like tomatoes with, or like three sisters, for example, corn, bean, and squash. They're helpful to each other. One of them, like the beans, add nitrogen, and then they help each other by giving each other nutrients, and that's what we mean by companion planting.
Companion plants.
Yeah.
Okay, now the castings, are those the ones that are also called pellets?
They're not really pellets. Castings are pretty much just like, I mean, for lack of a better word, worm poop.
Mhm. Correct.
But they're not pellets. Yeah, they're very soft, so they look and feel almost like soil.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one kind of composting, as opposed to like hot and cold composting, which does not involve raising worms. It's just breaking down kitchen waste with yard waste.
That's the difference.
Yeah,
That's what you can see in Cajamonga,
that's
right?
right.
Because they have a thermometer in each compost bin that they are
Yeah.
cooking.
Yes, and in fact, yes, and in fact, I help them design that compost system,
Correct.
which is another thing that I do for my clients. But yeah, that what they have going on is hot composting. So those bins are designed to cook up to 150 to 165 degrees.
Ooh,
Yeah,
they
from
get hot.
keep the thermometer in there to make sure they get the temperature hot enough. Yeah. So, but there's a lot of different kinds of composting.
Great. Now for pests, like I call them pests because I don't like them lurking around my vegetables or fruits, but snails, for example, it took me years to find out that I should be saving the shells of the eggs that I cook.
Yeah.
And then I go ahead and put them around my plantings that I found out not only help them with calcium, but also they deter snails. But it took me 15 years to figure that out.
Me too. It took me a long time to figure that out too. But yeah, eggshells are a great natural way to deter snails. What I do, I don't know if you can. Well, I have to move the camera that way a lot, but like you can see that I put after I love oysters, and after I eat oysters
As
I
well.
just place the shells like around my
Yes.
plants, my vegetables, and then they don't get to them. Because snails, the concept you want to remember is that snails like a smooth bed to glide over. And anything underneath that is going to be rocky or, you know, just very rough on their underside, they're not going to like to go there. So even I've heard like cornmeal, if you sprinkle cornmeal around the beds also.
Oh, corn.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are the main things that I wanted to cover about vegetable garden planting. And like, as I said, there are so many things to, there's a lot to cover, but those are pretty much the basics and the most important things you need to know about vegetable gardening. Um, and so I hope that gives you enough knowledge and just enough to get your feet wet, and like, just maybe hopefully you'll feel excited about trying, because now you'll see that it's not too daunting. It just needs practice. So I hope that you'll dive in and just try to plant some things. And
Great.
you know what? The great thing about vegetable gardening is if it dies, that's okay. You just start over again. Until you're
Thank you, Jade. And I wanted to point out that you are donating a very generous gift to our audience today. I'm going to let you explain what it is.
Okay, yes, yeah. I'd love to explain the prize today that I'd love to offer is a basic vegetable gardening consulting, and that covers 1 hour of my coaching time. And with that, I take you from the very beginning, and I, walk you through the steps and coach you through your steps of growing a vegetable garden up to 50 square feet, and that could be like 2 feet by 8 feet beds, or like through 2 or 3 by 6 feet beds. So that's a lot of growing space. And then it will also include a design of that space and a grow map. So I will show you visually exactly where everything goes. And then you'll have that design forever. And it also includes 3 packets of seeds, or 3 starter plants.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jade. Thank you for your generosity with your timing and with your donation as well, and for encouraging us. We are going to thrive on our gardens.
Yes, I hope that you'll get started. And if you want to, check out everything, I have a lot of information on my Instagram and website that you can read. It's at Ellume, www.illumelife.com. And thank you so much to the City of Montrose Verdugo Chamber of Commerce and you, Analily, for inviting me to do this awesome webinar today.
Of course. You're welcome anytime.
Service to the community.
Now, we have one other question.
Okay.
Our guest says that her lemon tree won't produce blooms for the last for a long time, and the lemon tree is a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Do we know?
Yeah, so it could be a variety of reasons. The most important of which I am guessing has to do something with sun, or soil. We always go back to these 3 things. Is it the sun? How's the sun? Is it in full sun, or is it in shade? Does it get 12 hours, at least 12 hours of sun every day? And then the next thing you want to check is, how's the soil there? Is it dry and compacted? Is there enough mulch? Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention when I was showing you the planting, because like there's not that much room on my table, but the importance of mulching. So after you plant, make sure to cover your the soil with mulch so that you can retain the moisture level. Okay, mulch is a very the most basic way of keeping the moisture level, the soil moist in your soil. So if the lemon tree lemon trees like a good 4 to 6 inches of mulch at all times on their soil. So make sure that your lemon tree has a lot of mulch all the time. It could also be, maybe, is there a disease in the tree? In which case you'd need to do some major restorative pruning to let air flow between the leaves and the branches. So it could be any one of those, but I'd love to take a look. If you, those are something that you would have to like really take a look. But always start with those things, like how's the sun, how's the soil, and how's the watering? Like, is the soil moist? Yeah, I hope
Fantastic.
that helps.
Thank you, Jade. Yes, we'll keep tabs on Donna and see how her lemon tree starts
Yes, please do. Yeah,
recovering.
you can follow me on Instagram.
Jade, Analily, if you can unmute yourselves, I'm so sorry. If you could repeat what you just said, Jade.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah. You once a month, or I actually haven't done one yet because it's such the beginning of the year. But sometimes I have live Instagram sessions where people can join in and actually post a picture of your plant problem, and I'll try and see if I can diagnose it. I also have a great discovery. I have a 15-minute discovery call on my website, so it's only $25. So you can just 25, 35, I can't remember, but it's just a 15-minute quick call just to say, hey, here's a problem that I have. What do you think? And then I can do like diagnosis and tell you right away what to do. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Jade. We appreciate your expertise and we hope to have you again.
I would love to come back. Thank you. Anytime. And it's, again, this is such a great service to the community. And thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to move on to our drawing opportunity. So if whomever can please tell me who remembers what are the 3 most important steps we should take according to Jade before we start planting? Julia.
Hi. Oh God, I don't know if it's right now, but sun, soil, and water.
Sun, soil, and water. You're correct.
I took notes.
Girl. Good job. Let me write your name down. Horowitz. So whomever, if you responded with the right answer, please email Mavil so that we can send you your prize.
Yes, and I'll go ahead and leave it in the comments here in case you don't have our email.
Thank you, Mavil. And what is going to be our picking up point, Mavil? Is it the chamber, or are we going to have one of our fantastic business owners offering a point of pickup?
I think we can do it here, but I will actually speak with one of them and see if they would prefer to do that. And then I will advise everyone in the email I send out. If that's okay.
Thank you.
Is that all the questions we had? Did we have any more?
No, we have more. We have more.
I love questions. Come on.
So, land, garden space, or containers? Who is, how do we get to that conclusion? Is it going to be enough garden space, or are we going to plant in containers? How do we get to that conclusion? Anybody?
How do you arrive at that conclusion? Okay, that's just really a matter of personal choice, and also depends on what kind of setup you have at home. Like if you have, I would say the most important is going to be sun, because again, you know, if you have, for example, if you have land space, but it's on the side of the house where there's no sun, then you wouldn't want to plant in that space. But however, if you have like a patio or a concrete area on the other side of the house that gets plenty of sun, but there's no land there, it's just like concrete pavers, then you would want to do a garden bed, like a wooden bed or containers, and then that then would dictate how you garden, whether.
Thank you, Jade. Okay, and now for our contestants. How many hours do herbs require of sun?
6 to 8.
Yes, 8 to 12.
Who said 6 to 8?
Donna.
Donna. All right, Donna.
I took notes. Retired teachers take notes.
Good job, Donna.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
We are happy to see you. You joined our webinar with the for Chris Erskine book launching.
I did, and I never got my prize for remembering one of his questions.
You need to send an email to Mavil, please, so that we can get your email address in.
Oh, I'll do that. MVCC at Montrose Chamber, right?
Yes.
Mavil.
.org.
.org. Got
Yes.
it. Thank you, guys. All
I
right.
just also wanted to throw in that it also depends on the herb. Like most herbs can tolerate some shade, but of course they like full sun. It's all about what they can tolerate. So yeah, herbs like, at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. So if not more. But
Great.
yeah.
Thank you,
so,
Jade.
sure.
And for our contestants, when we are planting in a galvanized container, how do we make sure that we have enough irrigation, enough drainage?
Yes. Okay. So great question.
Jade,
Oh, that's
I'm just
your
asking the yeah, sorry.
I can answer.
Otherwise, you're going to win all the prizes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
It's
Lily,
okay.
Someone responded in the chat box. Do you want them to respond by audio, or is chat box an option as well?
Oh, okay. So that's going to get whoever answers first.
Okay, because it looks like Therese answered your most recent question.
Sure. Okay, so good job, Therese.
Yay.
Yes. Put holes in bottom. And you put holes in bottom, and how many holes? How do you determine how many holes you put in the bottom? Do you put just one hole? This is a second question. Do you put just one hole, or how do you determine how many holes?
So the soil is moist, but not wet.
Not drenched, right?
Yes, but for drainage, how do you determine how many holes are you going to drill in a galvanized container or a container that doesn't have any holes at the bottom?
Depends on the size of the container.
On the sides. So trying to do what? For the water to...
Looks like Violet answered in the chat box.
Violet.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Violet. Good job. Yes, for even drainage. Making sure it's even drainage. So when we are irrigating or watering our plants, what is the rule of thumb? Anybody remembers what Jay said? Yes, Kim? Therese has half of the answer on the chat.
Can I say it, but I don't want the prize? Maybe I better be quiet. It's not drenched and not dried out, she said.
Correct.
Sorry to blurt things out.
Couldn't help it.
I couldn't help it. I get excited.
Very good. So Violet had the answer. She had half of the answer. So
She gets the prize. I'll give it to Violet. I just had to share.
Thank you, Donna.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Violet. And Therese said, water slowly. Yes, and that was part of my next question. Also, there are few flowers that Jade mentioned that would be great companions to go with our herbs or vegetables. Can anyone tell me or chat what are those? And these are not to deter pests. These are two kinds of flowers that for Jade, they had worked out well, and they add color, and they go well with her vegetables as well.
Violets and marigolds.
Violet said marigold.
No, Mindy, I think, is responding violets and marigold.
Oh, sorry. Okay, and who was that? Mavil?
Mindy.
Mindy? Oh, great job, Mindy. Mindy.
Sorry. I always get those two. Violets are great too.
Violets are great, correct. So the flowers that Jade mentioned were calendula and violets, but marigolds go well as Jade was mentioning. Any deterrents for pests like snails that anybody can remember? We have 3 of them that were mentioned. Anybody?
Looks like Violet responded in the chat box.
Oh, I think I'm behind on my chat box. What did she mention, Mavil? Can you see?
Onion, mint, onion, and cinnamon.
Well,
okay. And then if that's not correct, we have Julia also who answered.
Yes.
Eggshells and oyster shells.
Yes, I think eggshells and oyster shells were mentioned, as well as cornmeal. Very good. Great job, Julia. All right, Mavil, do you remember who was our first guest that joined the event today?
Give me a second. It was Violet was in the waiting room first.
Violet was in the, okay. Good job, Violet. Thank you for joining us today. And you were the first one in the chat room, so in the waiting room. So congratulations, you have a second prize today. And we're going to have a question about propagation. Which are 3 of the herbs that propagate well, not just herbs, but from the salad family as well? So who remembers 3 of them that propagate very well and very easily?
Looks like Violet and Therese both answered in the chat box.
All right. Wow. How do we do that? I think they both deserve a prize. All right. Thank you, Therese. You have a second prize. Come on, everybody, they're beating you. We need to share those prizes with everyone. Therese and Violet. Violet, you have 3 prizes. Good job paying attention. And how can we help our soil to be prepared for planting? What do we do before we plant? We prepare our soil in the container we're going to plant them, and what do we add first? Thank you, Violet. Well, what do we add first? We use compost. Very good. And then we use what else?
It looks like Michael Shar from s.i.g Property Management here answered. Can you see it on your end, Analily?
Yes.
Okay.
I see it now. It says a screen to stop soil from leaving holes. Very good. Very good, Michael. Congratulations. Bella is going to be so happy. Great. Congratulations, Michael. Great. Thank you, Violet, for your kindness and generosity in sharing with Michael the prizes. And Mavil, do you have a record of who was the guest that joined us last?
Give me 1 second here. I'm looking through the list. It had to have been Beverly.
Beverly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sometimes last ones are the first ones. So Beverly, congratulations. You have won a prize from the kindness of our wonderful donors and in-kind donors and sponsors. Are you still here, Beverly?
Yes, I had to unmute.
Oh, great.
Can you hear me? I've been working in the background since I run a retail store. I haven't been able to participate fully, but thank you for letting me join late.
Great. What store are you?
It's framed in Montrose.
I'm sorry?
It's the picture framing business, Framed in Montrose.
Oh, great.
Great. And I've had 5 customers come in while I was on the call. So thank you for being patient with me.
Great job, Beverly.
Great, thanks. I hope, are you gonna do a replay so that I can catch the first part or no?
Yes. I'm sure Mavil is going to send us all a link so that we can watch the event at ease.
Okay, perfect.
Of our home.
Yes. I'll send an email out, so please be sure you're subscribed to our newsletter. You can do so via our website or shoot me an email and I'll go ahead and include you on that e-blast. And it'll also be on our website and social media platforms.
Excellent.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Beverly, even though you had customers.
Yes.
Thanks, I appreciate it a lot, and I'm looking forward to doing some gardening.
Great, good job. Great. Well, Mavil, I think that's about all the prizes we had planned on.
Congratulations, everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Analily, for bringing this event to fruition. You always have excellent ideas, and we welcome them all. And if anyone is interested in joining us and Lily in her efforts in the ambassador program, please reach out to us either via email or if you're with us on social media, you can shoot us a DM. We'd be happy to give you more information and to connect you with Analily. Thank you again to our garden master, Jade Luu from Ellume Gardens. It was a pleasure having you here. I learned a lot. I'm gonna go home and plant my serrano peppers now. I like spicy, yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad I can see in the chat box that like some people got answers to some issues that they were having already. So I'm so glad.
Yes, and if anyone needs to get in touch with her in case you missed it, missed her information, that's her website, illumelife.com, or you can also reach out to us and we will get you in touch with her. That goes for any of our sponsors and donors as well. Just to kind of mention it one more time, that was Panos Productions Photography, s.i.g Property Management, Gio's Bakery and Cafe here in Montrose, Pedro's Organic Ranch, the Park Family, Ace Hardware of La Crescenta, and I believe that's it. But thank you.
s.i.g.
s.i.g Property Management, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us here.
Thank you, Michael.
This was really a fabulous event. We hope you'll join us in our future events. Thank you, everyone. I will put that.
Great program.
Thank you, Michael.
And please make sure you stay tuned on our upcoming events. We have one prepared for you, for our communities. Invite your friends from other communities. Let's have a good time together so that we can thrive together. And we have something coming up for Father's Day and for spring. We have it all covered with Mavil and our board. So we are working hard for your entertainment.
Yes. And just one last time, someone asked in the chat box, how do you claim your prize? Please email us at, that's MVCC@montrosechamber.org. And I will send you all your information and how to pick it up and where to pick it up. All right, if that is all, then thank you so much. Stay tuned for the posting of this video later. In case you missed anything during this program, you can rewatch it there and share it with your friends. Have a lovely, lovely week, everybody.